I also want to leave you with this powerful thought. There are areas in life where, at the first layer of searching for answers, the Bible may appear to be silent. These are times when we must seek God and rely on His guidance. But trouble arises when we take Him out of the equation. That's where chaos begins. Hello, and welcome back to Faith in Action. I am Surleigh, and today we're entering a sincere, thought-provoking conversation about immigration. Specifically, how does Scripture help us to think about issues like the rule of law, compassion for others, and human dignity? This topic is deeply relevant for so many of us. Whether you're a Pacific Islander balancing your heritage and faith, or someone wrestling with the polarized debates of our time, we will walk you through this together. We'll discuss current issues like the arrest of dangerous groups such as MS-13 or the Tren de Aragua, all the way to the confusion surrounding the false arrests of COFA citizens who are migrants legally living in the U.S. It's a complicated landscape. Still, we'll turn to the Bible for clarity and wisdom. As we start, I also want to leave you with this powerful thought. There are areas in life where, at the first layer of searching for answers, the Bible may appear to be silent. These are times when we must seek God and rely on His guidance. But trouble arises when we take Him out of the equation. That's where chaos begins. This conversation won't shy away from the complexities, but I promise to ground everything in Scripture. Grab your coffee or tea or glass of water, settle in, and let's get started. Before we discuss current events, laying a biblical foundation is vital. Immigration isn't a new issue. God's people have faced questions about how to treat foreigners since biblical times. The Bible speaks directly to these concerns, reminding us that God's justice and compassion extend to all people. Consider Leviticus 13, verses 33 and 34. It says, "When a foreigner resides among you in your land, do not mistreat them. The foreigner residing among you must be treated as your native born. Love them as yourself, for you were foreigners in Egypt." This command was applied to Israel during a time when they were dividing themselves as a nation. God's message was this: your responsibility is to be kind, just, and compassionate does not end at your borders. It's echoed throughout Scripture. Deuteronomy 10 describes God as the protector of the foreigner, providing them food and clothing. And Jesus in Matthew 25 makes it crystal clear when He says, "I was a stranger, and you invited me." Showing hospitality and care to stranger is part of what it means to follow Christ. But how does this square with situations where laws are broken? For example, how do we, as believers, respond to stories of immigrants engaging in criminal behavior like MS-13 or Tren de Aragua gangs, or the unsettling rumors about the false arrest of COFA citizens legally residing migrants who still face injustice? The Bible does not ignore the need for accountability. It upholds both compassion and justice, reminding us not to oversimplify these issues. To understand how justice and compassion work hand in hand, we turn to Leviticus 24, verse 22. The verse reads, "You are to have the same law for the foreigner and the native born. I am the Lord your God. At each heart This first protects fairness. The law must apply equally to everyone, whether they are native born or people from foreign lands. Theologian like John Calvin expands on this, explaining this command was intended to guard against arrogance in the Israelites. They were God's chosen people, but their status did not grant them the right to mistreat anyone. The first carries an eternal truth about God's justice. All human are created in His image, and His justice applies universally. Whether someone is a legal migrant like COFA citizens or an individual accused of a crime, such as those entangled in gangs, God's law demands fairness. The same rules apply to all. Accountability must be paired with dignity. We cannot turn a blind eye to sin, but neither can we accept laws or systems that perpetuate injustice and victimization. This message is especially relevant in today's political climate. When COFA citizens are falsely accused or wrongfully detained, it shows a breakdown of justice. These situations remind us to actively seek systems that reflect fairness and compassion God calls us in this world. This brings us back to a crucial tension in Scripture. On the one hand, Romans 13 teaches us to uphold the laws of the land. These laws are necessary to maintain order, and as Christians, we are called to respect governing authorities. Yet, on the other hand, the Bible also consistently prioritizes mercy. Look at John 8, where Jesus encountered the woman caught in adultery. The law demanded her punishment, but Jesus challenged the crowd, saying, "Let him who is without sin cast the first stone." He did not dismiss the law, but He modeled mercy. Today, we face similar challenges. But when we see individuals acting criminally, as in the case of gangs such as MS-13 or Tren de Aragua, we affirm the importance of preserving public safety. However, we must also ensure that law enforcement treats all people with dignity and fairness. Stories of COFA citizens facing suspicion or harassment highlight the importance of advocating for justice that doesn't discriminate. There's a dual responsibility to uphold the law and to extend compassion is why believers must pray for wisdom. It's easy to view these complex issues in black and white terms, but the Bible reminds us that justice and mercy are both rooted in God's character. Practically, this might lead us to support reforms that provide fair and humane systems for immigration. At the same time, we recognize the need to address crime and protect communities. On a personal level, it means being kind and welcoming to immigrants in our neighborhoods. Friends, as we reflect on immigration, crime, and justice, I hope that you hear this clearly. The Bible gives us principles to guide our thinking, even when the exact circumstances aren't addressed. We are called to respect the rule of law. But, more importantly, we are called to reflect God's justice and compassion in every decision we make. Leviticus 24, verse 22 reminds us that God's law is fair to all, whether native-born or foreigner. But when we leave God out of these difficult areas of life, trouble starts to grow. That's why we must seek Him, especially when facing complex issues that don't offer any answers. Thank you for joining me in this episode of Faith in Action. If you found this conversation valuable, I encourage you to share it with someone who might need it. As a matter of fact, why don't you just hit that notification bell to be reminded when new videos come out? And as always, I'd love to hear your thoughts or your questions. Until next time, remember to seek justice, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God. Take blessings, and I will see you next time. Thank you.